2023 was the very first time in 10 years in which there were less than 5 2D music projects being launched. After us getting dozens of new projects per year since 2015, it seems that things have started to slow down. But why is this happening? What could be behind these changes? Let's kick off this episode of SEIYUU Lounge. Welcome to SEIYUU Lounge. I am your host Vanessa, and today's topic is 2023 was not a welcoming year for new 2D music projects. As I was working on the year-end features, yes, I started working on those articles, list features and podcast episodes during October and November, I noticed something interesting. 2023 was the very first time since 2014 in which there were less than 5 2D music projects launched. Given how we all got used to a lot of 2D music projects being launched per year, it sounds crazy to have so few launching in 2023. It seems that after us getting dozens of new projects per year since 2015, to the point of oversaturation, things have started to slow down. But why is this happening? What could be behind that? Do we have fewer SEIYUU to voice and sing as characters? Are projects getting more expensive? Are SEIYUU actually charging more? Or are fans' expectations higher than ever before? Well, this episode is all about what was once a trend and it is now declining really fast. And I've got answers for you. So what was this trend and why did it start to begin with? The trend that started in 2015. It is worth mentioning that 2D music projects are more prominent and more in quantity on the male SEIYUU side. It is also worth noticing that Idolmaster, the female version, started a boom on the female SEIYUU side way before there was any boom on the male SEIYUU side when it came to 2D music projects. But since this podcast only covers male SEIYUU, let's stick to this side of the story so far. It is undeniable that the success of Utapri, which ended up imploding in 2012-2013, would end up inspiring other creators to give it a shot and try the same formula or give it a unique twist and focus on different music genres, replace games for drama CDs including music, or adding more storytelling to it as a way for fans to interact with the content and bringing new SEIYUU to the spotlight. All of that culminated in 2015, the year in which the 2D music industry was impressive. Fans got variety, quantity, and many new SEIYUU making their way to the spotlight, showcasing their singing skills for what would be the first time for many. This was the year of Tsuki Pro, Idolish 7, B Project, Ensemble Stars, Dear Vocalist, and many more projects. Fans got excited at all the variety there was in those, exploring different music genres, embracing different concepts, and even focusing a lot on story, contrary to many 2D music projects that came before them. However, if you look closely at these projects, you will notice that many of the SEIYUU in the cast are the same. And that's because back in 2015, many SEIYUU were still on the fence whether it was a good or a bad idea to branch out to singing as characters. And at the same time, 2D music projects wanted to get the best possible stars or up-and-coming SEIYUU to join their cast. Nothing wrong with that, but there were times in which people were confusing projects or groups because they shared most of their cast. Still, with all its flaws, 2015 and all the projects that launched in that year managed to open a Pandora's box and kickstart a big trend that had its peak in 2021 and would start to decline in 2022. Its peak in 2021. 2021 was one of the most prolific years for fans of 2D music projects. Almost every month, a new 2D music project or mixed media project was announced. At least 12 new 2D music projects launched in 2021. Some of those explored music in refreshing ways in 2D music projects, others gave a unique spin to an already winning formula. There were 2D projects flaunting star-studded casts and others being more modest, while betting on up-and-coming stars and even underrated yet incredibly skilled singers among male SEIYUU. From rock to pop, EDM, R&B, ballads, a cappella and heavy metal, in 2021 fans of 2D music projects got to experience a lot of variety and had plenty of unique and interesting projects to choose from. Aupella, Tokyo Color Sonic, Station Idol Latch, Gamdoll, Versus Ambivalence, Visual Prison, Enlight Tribe, and The Last Metal, and many more. It was really a year with no match in which what seemed impossible, 2D music projects straying away from pop idols, actually was happening. Rock music was taking over, new takes on the idol genre were appearing, a cappella music took over for the very first time, and visual K-rock was making a big impact. It was a crazy year, but after all that excitement and variety featuring huge casts, mixing experience with excitement in both veteran stars and rookies, 2022 arrived. Its decline, 2022. While there was variety of 2D music projects, now fans had too much to choose from. The idol pop genre was, and still is, oversaturated. Most 2D music projects embracing rock music tanked soon after or started to decline in this year, and some of the biggest players of 2021, for example Visual Prison, disappeared out of nowhere with the music releases ending, with the anime seasons ending. So 2022 tried to continue with the momentum that 2021 was carrying, but most of the projects announced this year, while trying to innovate to not be caged in a specific category, ended up tanking harder than expected. I'm Sorry tanked soon after launching, and while this was the first time a male SEIYUU, in this case Shinosuke Tachibana, created and financed a 2D music project, it was an experiment that didn't reap any fruits. Jamrock launched with a unique reggae premise that was bound to attract attention, but soon after issues with some of its singers, filling in for SEIYUU when it comes to only the reggae singing parts, was booked by the Japanese police for drug usage. Despite its curious start, the project is in a weird state since the middle of 2023. Preluders tanked soon after the group released its first CD. It seems that very few people in Japan were interested in a Sentai plus music 2D franchise. Magatsu Note brought in a unique blend of neo-futurism, warring states and visual kei music. The attention grabber in this project is tied to the fact that real visual kei artists have been actively creating music for the project, and the live shows feature both Magatsu Note's bands and real visual kei bands all in the same place. This was, and perhaps still is, the most successful project to be launched in 2022, seeing as in 2023 the project is still going strong, holding live shows and releasing cover songs. Just like Visual Prison, Technoroid stopped releasing music as soon as the anime series came to an end. But the project had a relatively strong start, bringing in the name Elements Garden to the spotlight, which, in return, brought a lot of fans of the team's compositions and previous work in both Visual Prison and Utapri. If it follows Visual Prison's steps, the project will remain dormant until a new anime series is announced, or may never return to activity. Honestly, I do not know, and I'm quite curious as to why both projects went almost radio silent after the anime series aired. Looking back to 2022, there are several reasons why most of these projects managed to fail to impress or had low acclaim. First off, the 2D music projects market was overcrowded. Most projects were trying too hard to be different in hopes that difference would be the reason they would win over new fans. Most of these projects disregarded music quality or performance quality in favor of having good visuals. And other projects were only meant to be a prelude to either a game release or an anime season, and after that they went radio silent. To sum it all up, in 2022 the number of 2D music projects launching declined, and so did the quality usually attached to those. Why are we getting fewer 2D music projects? Looking at everything I just said and remaining unbiased, truth is, most 2D music projects are too ambitious for their own good. When 2D idol projects were a thing, everyone did the same. Hypnosis Mic appeared, and then, suddenly, every 2D idol project either wanted their groups to rap or to be all about rap. In 2021, with the launch of Visual Prison and all the hype around it, all of a sudden, several projects, some with a similar name, started to focus on Visual Kei music. So, watching this, 2D music project creators may have noticed that whenever a 2D music project was different, people flocked to it, and it turned into a massive success. What those 2D music projects may have forgotten is that behind each project there is more than the unique factor, in this case the music genre, of a project. There is a cast, the story, all the marketing behind it, and its positioning on magazines dedicated to cover such themes. It's not enough to have a different idea and wish for the best. And most of the projects in 2022 seemed to be wishing for the best. On another end, we need to look at 2D music projects as a business. And because they are a business, there is a company in charge of them and another one of producing and distributing the music, there will be pressures. Pressure to sell a specific number of CDs, to hit a specific number of views on YouTube, to get a lot of shares and interactions on social media, you name it. This ends up putting a lot of pressure and stress on the creators that have to create something different, but still not as much in order to not alienate potential new fans. Remember, since 2010, the most popular 2D music projects are idol projects. So that would be a surefire way to make a project popular and with a fanbase willing to purchase merchandise and the sort. To compensate for not being all about idol music, most of those projects had to make it up with attractive art, plenty of live shows, or doing something really disruptive in order to attract attention. As such, the quality of the music dropped. The stories are paper thin in terms of quality and depth, and most characters end up being fairly generic. While appealing to the eyes, most people trying to get into those projects easily noticed that they had nothing to back up the attractive presentation. Also, as there are over 40 2D music projects active or on hiatus at the moment, there is plenty to choose from. And better yet, that now you have variety. Not everyone is a pop fan, so now there are 2D music projects that cater to different music genres that deserve a lot of love and have been put in the backseat for years. Having fewer and fewer projects being announced is a culmination of all these factors I just talked about. But also because most SEIYUU are charging a lot for singing for 2D music projects because their contracts now don't include just singing and voicing a character. Most, like for example those in the Hypnosis Mic franchise, require SEIYUU to perform live, not trim or change their hairstyle, have a specific weight or appear on variety shows. This part about the Hypnosis Mic franchise contracts was sort of confirmed by Ryuichi Kijima, responsible for voicing Matenro's Hifumi. During a live on Instagram, he ended up opening up about having to lose weight for the live show that was incoming. At the same time, it was mentioned by Yusuke Shirai that Soma Saito has to have his hair in a specific length for when there is a live show in the Hypnosis Mic franchise. So with contracts being more limitative for SEIYUU start asking for more money, as being part of a 2D music project now requires a lot of work beyond what they do behind the mic. So with prices rising, the stars and really popular and coveted SEIYUU starts to be unapproachable by 2D music projects, thus leaving only those with fewer experience and not that big of a fan base available. Not to say that rookie SEIYUU or less popular SEIYUU are not good singers. Quite on the contrary. You have a lot of talent in this side, but what companies are looking for when they cast a SEIYUU for 2D music projects is a mix of two things. If they know how to sing or rap, or if they have a big fan base that will follow them to that project. With that being said, popular SEIYUU raised their prices, rightfully so, and 2D music project creators have few SEIYUU left with decent fan bases to, within its first months, make their projects popular. Also, it's worth mentioning that as 2D music projects turn more and more into complex productions, from hiring popular producers and lyricists to basically holding live shows with ridiculously expensive sets, the expectations are so high that very few new 2D music projects can make the same impact. 2D music projects are getting more and more expensive to produce. All of these, tied up with the industry being overcrowded with 2D music projects and the recent decline in quality of the ones being launched since 2022, has made it so that in 2023, only 3 new 2D music projects were launched. I'm talking about Uradol, Executioner, and Grey Sheep. And let me tell you that only one made an interesting impact, while the others are barely known or they have been just announced. This situation is not a matter of not having SEIYUU available, because there are plenty out there, over 1,000, and certainly not because of their salary. It's because almost every 2D music project is just a rehash of a different one, with no care for storytelling or quality music. The focus on launching a game, usually a poorly made one, filled with gacha mechanics and selling merch, has made it so that some projects only launch for that and instantly fail. Let's look at Hanadol. Few people pay attention to this project, but its massive focus on both wonderful and rich storytelling and music quality has made it stand out, have a loyal fanbase, which makes it so that the project, despite not being massively popular, is doing things at its own pace and is, and I hope will continue, to be around for a long time. To have a 2D music project become popular is like saying that this episode of the podcast will go viral. It just won't happen. It is a 1 in a million chance. There are a lot of factors that influence that, and basically most of those are out of the 2D music project's control. Trends, influencers, SEIYUU in the cast, there are many things that can make a project all of a sudden shine. But doing things with no passion and heart, creating stories just for the sake of saying the project has storytelling elements, disregarding the music quality, well, those are bad strikes that, with the high expectations that fans now have due to the sheer variety and quality of other 2D music projects, will end up hindering the chances of new ones to impress and thrive. Is this declining trend of 2D music projects being launched going to continue? Well, I feel like this may be a phase, but for this phase to go away and open the door to a new one, some projects will come to an end and others will go on hiatus, and that is yet to happen. The industry is so crowded right now that it is almost impossible to make an impact and become successful. Launching a 2D music project right now is like throwing away money. Now tell me, what do you think about having fewer 2D music projects launching every year? Is it going to help raise the overall quality of 2D music projects, or is it a sign that the 2D music industry is stagnating? Let me know in the comments on YouTube, and remember, leave your comments as complex or as simple as they may be, and you can be featured on upcoming episodes of SEIYUU Lounge. If you enjoyed this episode and don't want to miss the hand that feeds HQ's weekly male SEIYUU and music-related content, hit the subscribe button. And if you are listening to this episode on a podcast listening platform, please consider following the podcast and leaving a review. Leaving a review is really simple and helps other people find this podcast and fall in love with male SEIYUU artists and 2D groups. I'll return next week with another episode of SEIYUU Lounge. Thank you for listening, and see you guys around.